right, well, I am heading out to go look at something else. We'll see if I buy it. If I do, this will be something a little different from anything I've really ever bought, I think. We're gonna go look at a Polaris Ace, which is like a single-seater side-by-side, so it's not a side-by-side, it's a one-by-side? I don't know. And my communications with the guy have been, I don't know, I'm just not quite sure. I don't know what I'm getting into. I hope I'm not potentially looking at a pile of junk. Seems like a good price. It's like listed at $1,500, and I think in good shape, it should be worth more than double that. So we'll see. All right, we made a deal, and we've got this Polaris Ace on the trailer. We'll take it back home. He agreed to $1,200, and then I took forever at the place where we were getting the notary because it was a cool old scrapyard, and so I gave him an extra $100 for his trouble. I think he needs some money. So we're into this thing for $1,300, and we have a title for it. Let's get this home and see what we can do. Well, there it is. It was quite the day, but we brought home the Polaris Ace. I guess you call it a Sportsman Ace, maybe? Yeah, I don't think I have time to get it unloaded right now, but I can't wait to show you guys this thing. It's pretty cool. It's definitely rough, but I don't know, I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna work out. I don't know, we'll find out. It's an adventure. Well, the time has come to unload. I let it marinate in the trailer for like a week and a day to be exact. So trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with this thing. I don't think I'm gonna lose money on it by any means, but I'm not sure how much time I wanna put into getting it niceyed up. Do I just try to get it practically working well, or do I try to make it pretty as well? Like a graphics kit is like $260 for this thing. I thought that'd be a nice way to make it look nice, but for $260, I just don't know if that's worth it. The wheels are aftermarket and a little bit larger, but the tires are not holding air real well. One of the back tires actually has like a hole in the sidewall. Brakes are a little soft too. Let's take it for a little spin around the yard. I am nervous that there's engine problems because that would be like the icing on the cake of not a good buy. All right, so it's time for an update on the Polaris Ace 325 that I've got here. I was planning on fixing this thing up, but I'm starting to question that. I just don't know if it's gonna be worth it, and I think it may be better to kind of sell it the way it is. So here's the situation. This thing has tires with lots of tread on them, but the front two go flat and the back two are damaged on the sidewalls. The seat is cracked out. The front hood here is broken. There's lots of cracks in the plastic. The brakes are kind of funky. They do stop the machine, but they're kind of funky. And the steering is a little funky. The front suspension has been swapped out with other front suspension, which is not correct for this machine. It feels like the axles are a little sloppy where they go into the differentials. I do wonder if the bearings and the differentials there, where the output bearings, if they should be swapped out. So all in all, this thing just needs a lot of work, and I just don't know if this is the right time for me to dive into something that needs this much work. I'm into this thing for $1,400. I paid $13 and I paid $100 to get the title transferred to my name. What I'm thinking about doing is just putting some tire slime in the front tires so they hold air a little bit better and giving it a good bath. And there's a bolt that was missing on the brake system. I'm gonna replace that. I think maybe I'll just try to clean it up good and send it on its way. I'm hopeful that I can sell this thing for around $2,000, maybe a little less. I think in good condition, they're worth like $3,000 to $4,000. This one's not in good condition. It's gonna need work. I just don't wanna be the one that does it. And honestly, if it runs and drives, someone may enjoy it just the way it is. I think what we're gonna do is try to list this thing at maybe $2,400, something like that, $2,300, and try to get, $1,900 and make, maybe $500 profit, which isn't bad for a day trip, essentially. Because it took me, most of a day to go down and get it. And, it's a learning experience. You just got to know when to move forward and when to not. And I'm kind of learning that. I have so many projects here, it take me years to get them all done. It feels kind of like a failure, but I don't think it should be a failure. I think we need to go ahead and get this moved on. I found a good deal and I'm relocating it to a better market and just trying to fix some very minor things and make it more appealing. And then we'll see if we can make a few dollars off of it. All right, so essentially the brake calipers have 2 bolts that hold them in. They look like this. And on this side over here, we lost one of those bolts. There's one on top, missing one on the bottom. So what I did is I pulled the good one out of this side so I could match it up in the store. I went and found the closest one I could at a hardware store. It's not identical, but it's about the same length. It's got a bigger head, but it doesn't have the flange on it. So I think it should be the same length. This one had some blue Loctite on there, as you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some more blue Loctite on them and stick these puppies in there and crank them down. She's tight. Good. All right, we should be good to go on the brakes now, at least in that regard. All right, in order to put slime into the tires, you're supposed to have this on the top side on both of these, and they're both on the bottom pretty much. So I need to drive this thing forward a little bit. Let's see if this thing will start. See if we can drive it forward. It's a little bit cold-blooded, at least it has been, so we'll see. She seems to run okay, that's good. Let's get the valve stems out and pump a bunch of slime in them, and then run this thing around and wash it. It says shake vigorously for 30 seconds. Oh, you don't have any pressure in there, okay. It says 24 ounces, so 24 pumps, that's quite a bit. 1, 2, 3. All right, just need some air in there. All right, now all I need to do is drive it around some and get that slime distributed. We were riding it around a whole bunch yesterday just for fun and also to get the slime moving around the tires. I did add some more air to them, but overnight they seem to have not really lost much, so that's a good sign that the slime's doing something. But when we were riding it around, it started cutting off suddenly sometimes, and I was able to get the check engine code off of it, and it seems like it has something to do with the voltage on the coil, so not really sure what that is. People have chased these things down, and it seems somewhat elusive sometimes. It's like it could be related to the fuel system or the ignition. I was trying to figure out if I was gonna go down the rabbit hole of trying to fix that at all. I think I'm not. It still starts and runs and drives fine. It's just randomly does that sometimes. You turn it off and it'll reset and then it'll start up again. It does a little better if you let it sit for a minute or two. I am really leery of getting sucked into working on this a whole bunch, putting a bunch of time and money into it, because I don't think I'm gonna get a ton out of it. At this point, I feel like I kind of want to cut my losses, although hopefully I don't have any true losses, and just get out from under this thing. It's not like a classic. I mean, it is a lot of fun, but it's not a labor of love, to put it that way. And I don't really have time for that. So if I can make a few dollars the way it is now, I think we're going to be better off, even though it makes for a more boring video. But this is me just trying to learn how to manage my time. Because as you all know, I have a gajillion projects. Oh, I was going to drain a little bit of the oil out because for some reason the previous owner, I think, overfilled it with oil. So I'm planning to drain a little bit of that out and give this thing a bath and probably get it listed for sale and try to be as honest as I can. And if we make a few $100s off it, that's a win. We get our money back also. It's not, we don't have all that money tied up in here anymore. And we learned something, maybe made a little money, made a video, met some people. So I don't know what to say. Sometimes you throw out your net and you get a good one. Sometimes you don't get as good of one, but I can't be afraid of always getting bad stuff, but it's good to be careful. I should put on gloves. That's running down my arm for sure. I'm not sure what I was thinking about that. All right, I think that should be enough. Now I may need more drained out, but that's probably all I'm gonna do. I'm guessing that was about a half quart. possible I should have just drained out more and then just been willing to add it in, but I don't really know what type of oil's in here and don't really want to have to find out. All right, I guess that's done. Whew. All right, well, we got this thing washed up the other day, and the tires are still holding air. It does look somewhat better with all the white parts a little cleaner. The black parts, you can't really tell a whole lot of difference. And some of them I think were kind of stained with dirt. It is what it is. We listed this thing for $2,200, and I listed out a bunch of issues with it. And we'll see what happens. I haven't had a whole lot of interest yet. A lot of people have viewed the listing, but not a lot of people are messaging. So I think that means I did a good job at explaining everything in the listing, so we'll see if it sells. Well, I had someone recommend to me that I repaint this front bumper so that this thing is a little bit more sellable, just looks a little bit better. And well, I figured why not? Because it hasn't sold yet. I bought a can of spray paint. It was about $5. I mean, the person I was talking to is like, not even prep it, just paint it. That bugs me a little bit, but I thought, hey, let's try out this wire brush on the drill and see if we can at least clean off the face and make that part be better, because that's really what we're going to be painting. We're not going to be removing it. We're just going to try to stick cardboard behind. That's what he recommended, and just try to make the front of it look nicer. See if we can shoot this with some spray paint before it rains, and hopefully it can dry enough before it rains too. Interestingly, it already looks a lot better just taking off some of that old paint. I mean, we're still missing paint, but that old orangey paint wasn't doing us any favors. Well, that is all washed off. I've tried to dry it off, but I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, and we'll see if it rains or not. And be sure that thing is nice and dry before we try to paint it. It'd be nice if we had a little bit of sunshine, but I don't know if we're going to get it today. At the very least, it's a lot closer to being ready to paint than it was before, and it honestly looks a little bit better too, so. Oh, I oversprayed right down on here. Oops. A little better. I'm really liking how that's turning out. All right, I think that's good enough for now. I think we'll let it dry off and then take the cardboard out. Still got some paint left. So it certainly isn't great, but it is all white. All right, so I just painted the bumper. I let it dry for a while, fired it up. I want to make sure it still ran. I decided I would drive it around a little bit and charge the battery up since I'd cranked it a whole bunch. Then I decided, since the kids were awake and I didn't have to worry about waking them up from their naps, that I would push it harder. I was like, okay, I'll kick it into high range and try to work this thing hard. It's like, okay, and I'll push the brakes. Oh, the brakes aren't working real good. Okay, let's turn. And so turning at speed makes it roll over. And of course, this is the one time I was pushing it and not wearing a seatbelt. Thank you, Lord, that I did not get hurt, at least not seriously. I caught the steering wheel in my face as I pulled over, but I had my hands on the roll cage and kept myself inside. That's really sobering. All right, let's see if we can get this thing flipped over. And I can't say how grateful I am that I was not hurt. I'm gonna go grab the backhoe, use some straps, and get this thing on its feet again. All right, that worked fairly well to get it back upright. It's a little tough on those straps sometimes and they don't like to hook. But anyway, I'm looking at this and I think I see another piece of the puzzle as to what happened here. Looking at this tire here, I don't know if you can see all that grass on there. I think because we had some lower tire pressure, my tire rolled as I was trying to corner, so the machine just kind of flipped over. I think that's what happened. So obviously the brakes aren't the greatest here. I was going a little faster trying to recreate the check engine code that had happened before, because I'm kind of hoping that it's gone away. Since I couldn't stop, I needed to turn. And when I turned, then it just slowly kind of up and over all of a sudden. It wasn't slow enough that I really had the presence of mind to try to go straight again, but then again, straight wasn't really an option, because straight would have been running down this hill into the ditch and hitting the trees, which would have been bad also. So when I started tipping over, I mean, the steering wheel smacked me in the face, and I put my hands up and grabbed the roll cage, I believe, because I knew I had to stay inside the roll cage as it's tipping. It's a miracle. I wasn't hurt seriously at all. Some people call it luck. I don't call it luck. So I'm gonna try to find all the pieces in the grass that fell out. And this thing has probably been rolled on its side before, maybe more than once. And if you're wearing a seatbelt and you have a helmet, it's probably not a big deal. It's one of the situations where you feel like you were totally helpless looking back, like something bad could have happened, and what could I can't change that. It could have happened, but it didn't happen. Not super excited to get back in here, but something happened and I didn't have to pay the price for it, which makes me think of the Lord and how we fall short in our trespasses and sins, and He paid the price. And we need to be thankful, and we live our lives for Him. The same situation here. I need to be thankful that I wasn't hurt. I think it's burning off all the oil from being tipped over. Oil in the cylinder. Yeah, I should put the seatbelt on. I can promise you I'm going to be going slow though. So I'm starting to get some interest on this since I said I would accept or consider trades. But anyway, I got someone who might be willing to pay cash for it, but he asked if it runs, or a video of it running. And it won't start today, so that's an issue. So yesterday when I was riding it around, I was noticing that the voltage wasn't really coming up at idle. And when I revved up, sometimes it would jump up. But I'm wondering if my voltage regulator was the problem, since today the battery wasn't able to get this thing started and keep it running. Anyway, it's a lithium battery. I got it pulled out, and now I'm gonna see if I can charge it with my regular charger. I don't have a special one for lithium. The thing is that the lithium battery is being used where lead acid would be used normally, so it's already on kind of like a lead acid charging system. Looking into it, it sounds like if you use the AGM profile for charging a battery, it should be pretty similar to what a lithium needs. The thing is that lead acids like to be float charged, or rather the chargers will float charge them, and you don't want to do that on a lithium. So I'm going to put it on here, and I will set a timer to come back and try to make sure it doesn't get into the float setting. And also I'm doing it out here away from everything so that if it does explode, it won't cause any problems. So I've got 10.8 volts or so. So 12 volt standard, 12 volt AGM. Oh, I'll let that go and hopefully it doesn't explode. Let's make sure we're not too high on charge yet. It's showing 14.6 volts. Let it rest for a little bit and see what it shows on voltage. Let's go throw this back into the Ace and see if we can get it running again. So it's kind of a tight spot down there, and interestingly the terminals come off here. Like, I could not get that bolt undone on either of these, but thankfully this other bolt here was loose, so I don't know what that's about, but just gotta stuff her down there. See if she starts now. 13 volts, that's good. When it's warm, she starts right up and stays running. When it's cold, not so much. Good morning. So today we might sell the Polaris Ace. We've got someone who I think should be headed over here shortly. I checked the oil, it doesn't seem low. I thought it might have been low after I let some out. It is on a slope, so that kind of affects things. My front right tire is leaking down. Now, they're both leaked down somewhat, but the front right, I could hear it leaking out. I would be so happy to get this thing out of my hair, but I have to put a value on how much that happiness is worth. But I don't really want to lose money because, you know, I'm kind of in business to make money. I also got this titled in my name, and I have the current registration for it. And I really don't like the idea of this thing not getting out of my name, so I may force as a part of the sale that we go to a tag agency and get it put in his name, just because I don't want it lingering in my name. I'm learning as I go. Tell me what you think. Would a bill of sale be enough? I don't have like official bills of sale, so it'd just be like written down on a piece of paper. Would a bill of sale be enough for you if you're selling something like this, or would you want to make sure that it got out of your name? I don't know. All right, well, they should be here shortly, so I'll try to find a spot to put the camera and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it starts today. I haven't even tried to start it. I know that one front tire is coming down, but I have the air compressor full of air, so we can air that up real quick for them. I don't really want to go below 1400. We haven't even talked price. I had it listed at 19. 14 is right about what I have in here. Maybe 14, a hair over with the paint and the tire sign, but we'll see how it goes. So I haven't started in a few days, because I want you to know what you're getting if you buy this thing.
I appreciate that.
It's like it's all there, but it's not like real good.
Let's crank it up and see what it does.
Alrighty. Definitely a project, just depends on how much of a project you want to get into.
That's what kind of one I'm thinking right now.
All right, well, he was a very nice gentleman, and he is going to go home and look at prices on stuff and see what he thinks. He asked what I was wanting to get out of it, and I told him 15. We'll see what he says, but he's one of those guys that it's like, even if nothing works out, it was just nice to meet him and learn from him and hear about his experiences. He's also self-employed, and he works on Chinese ATVs, so that's neat to hear about that. It's something I've never really dealt with a whole lot. I've kind of always avoided them. Anyway, we'll see if he buys it or not, and we'll go from there. All right, so the guy came back with an offer of $1,200 cash and a mower that he had, and we agreed on that. I think that's a fair deal. Something that's of a little more value to me than it is to him on the mower, and then $1,200 cash. I'm only into this thing for $1,400 cash, so I think depending on how it goes with that mower, I may come out ahead. And I think that limits his exposure as well. So hopefully he can get this thing working and in good enough condition to use. But he kind of wants this for helping one of his children to learn how to drive at some point. Yeah, super cool guy. I hope it worked out for him. I think he knows what he's getting into with it though. Alright, so things did not go as planned on this flip, but that's okay. So essentially, one way to look at it is that I paid $200 for a lesson. So let's break this down real quick. We paid $1,300 for the Polaris Ace. We spent roughly $100 to get it titled. We spent the gas to go, gosh, I don't know how far away it is, 70 miles away and back. So we probably went 140 miles. So that's another $45 you could say on fuel. I'm not really counting that or the $5 bolt I bought or some tire sign I put in there. So let's just say we lost $250 on this flip, and that's okay. So we essentially paid $250 for a lesson here on flipping stuff. And I think that lesson is twofold. One is that, be careful and don't be afraid to say no. Be thorough and don't be afraid to say no. And secondly, it's okay. Sometimes you're gonna lose money in the pursuit of flips. You're gonna buy something and find out it isn't what you expected. But more importantly, don't let that stop you, but keep moving forward. Get the money out of it. And in this situation, because we also got that mower as a partial trade-in, I think we're gonna ultimately come out ahead. It may take a little bit of time, but we already have someone who's interested in that transmission for $150. That engine is probably gonna bring $500 or so. I don't know how much it's gonna bring net profit on the engine. Because eBay has fees and stuff, that's probably the best place to sell it. And it probably won't sell for a while. So we should definitely come out ahead overall, but it's gonna be a little more work on my part. I think ultimately, we paid to learn a lesson here, which is totally fine. We need to learn these lessons, and most importantly, keep moving forward. If you fall down, get up and keep running. Let's bring up another point that has been mentioned before. How much time did I put into this? It's a very valid question, and it's also somewhat hard to capture because there's so many things going on all the time. I would say on this one, I spent 1 to 2 days time on it. I definitely spent a solid half day going down there, but then there's also the communications and testing and listing stuff. So quite honestly, it could have been more like 3 full days that I spent on this, spread out over a lot of time. That kind of is what it is. You kind of have to take it on the chin and keep moving on. It is important to try to maximize what we're making per hour, but it's all still relative right now. We need to make something, and then we need to become more efficient at it. And some things are just lessons, and we just learn from that, hopefully, and move on. And one last note, I really appreciated the guy who bought the Ace. He was very fair in his negotiation, and it worked out really well that he had that mower that wasn't worth much to him, but was probably worth more to me. That's kind of the beauty of doing a partial trade, trying to find something that works well for both parties. But beyond that, this is a potential contact that could lead to other work here in the area. He has his own business, and it's possible that I could learn some of his business from him or help him on his business. So this situation is really a win in my eyes, even just from having met this guy. He's a super nice guy, not too far away, and may open the door to other work for me. So we'll see how that goes. I have no idea. Time will tell. So here is where we are at on our journey to 50K. Unfortunately, we stepped back a little bit in this one, but that's okay. So as always, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to spend time with your families, stay safe, but also don't be afraid to get out there and break a wrench. See ya.